Most men do not lose their future in one dramatic mistake. They lose it slowly, quietly, through a relationship that drains more than it builds. It begins with small compromises that feel harmless. At first, a little distraction from purpose, a little extra spending to keep peace, a little doubt about one's own instincts. Over time, those small leaks turn into real losses. Focus disappears, confidence erodes, time vanishes, never to be recovered. And the most dangerous part is that none of this feels like danger while it is happening. It feels like love, patience, and being a good man. There are women who enter a man's life not to build with him, but to consume what he has. His attention becomes fuel for their ego. His protection becomes a shelter they do not respect. His resources become something they feel entitled to rather than grateful for. His peace becomes the price he pays to keep the connection alive. When they leave, they do not take one big thing. They leave him emptier than before, wondering how he gave so much and ended up with so little. Men rarely fall because they are weak. They fall because they ignore early signals and rename them as love. They sense discomfort, but override it with logic. They notice inconsistency, but explain it away. They feel drained, but tell themselves relationships are supposed to be hard. By the time the truth becomes undeniable, they are already invested emotionally, financially, and psychologically. Their ego is attached, their standards have slipped, and walking away now feels more painful than staying. This is why understanding patterns matters more than memorizing red flags. Patterns reveal intention, behavior reveals character, and mindset explains why men stay far longer than they should. The goal is not to become cynical or bitter toward women, but to become precise, to recognize which dynamics lead to growth and which lead to slow self-destruction, to protect your future before it is negotiated away piece by piece. In this video and in this series, we break down 7 specific types of women men should not date if they value their time, peace, and direction, not to shame, attack, or generalize, but to clarify. Each type follows a predictable structure. There is an initial pull that feels exciting and validating. There is a middle phase where confusion begins, and there is an ending where the man realizes the cost, often too late. The first type is subtle and especially dangerous because she does not always lie outright. Instead, she withholds just enough truth to keep you moving forward while staying in control of the narrative. This is the woman who lies by omission. And understanding her behavior early can save you years of confusion and self-doubt. In the next part, we will break down exactly how this dynamic forms, why it feels so hard to detect, and why men often blame themselves instead of recognizing what is really happening. The woman who lies by omission is rarely caught early because she does not feel like a liar. She speaks smoothly, maintains eye contact, and often appears emotionally intelligent. Her words sound honest, her energy feels warm, and the connection moves fast enough to create excitement without giving you time to slow down and verify. On the surface, everything seems right. That is what makes this dynamic so dangerous. You are not reacting to obvious deception, but to an absence of information that quietly shapes your decisions without your consent. At first, you simply feel a vague sense that something is off. Conversations feel close, but never complete. When you ask direct questions, you receive answers that sound good but do not actually answer what you asked. You walk away feeling slightly guilty for wanting clarity, as if you were being intrusive or insecure. Over time, details begin to shift, timelines no longer align. Important names or past situations appear late, framed as irrelevant or forgotten. When new information surfaces, it is presented casually, as if it should not matter, even though it clearly would have influenced your choices earlier. When the truth finally comes out, it rarely arrives gently. It lands as shock. not just because of what was hidden, but because of how long you were unknowingly making decisions without full awareness. And instead of focusing on the omission itself, she focuses on your reaction. You are told you are overthinking. You are accused of being insecure or controlling. The conversation shifts away from honesty and toward managing your emotional response. Slowly, you begin questioning your own standards rather than questioning the behavior that violated them. It is important to understand the difference between privacy and manipulation. A mature woman can be private while still being clear. She knows what information is essential for another person to make informed choices. Omission is not forgetfulness. It is a deliberate choice to withhold key facts in order to preserve an image, avoid accountability, or keep the relationship progressing on her terms. And if this behavior appears early, when she is still trying to impress you, it does not improve later. It escalates once you are more invested. Men often fail in this dynamic because they try to compensate instead of confront. They become more patient, more understanding, more emotionally flexible. They tell themselves that trust will unlock honesty in time, but time does not create character. It only reveals it. By the time the full picture is visible, the man's ego is attached, his effort is sunk, and his standards have quietly lowered to justify staying. The cost is not just betrayal. It is self-betrayal. You begin accepting confusion as normal and discomfort as the price of connection. And once that pattern is set, it becomes easier for the next dynamic to take hold. In the next part, we will examine the woman who turns dating into a transaction, and how many men mistake financial pressure and constant demands for genuine desire and high value, until they realize they have signed a contract they never agreed to. The transactional dater does not enter a relationship asking how she feels about you. She enters asking what you bring. Her attraction is calculated, not emotional. And while that does not make her loud or aggressive, it makes her dangerous to men who lead with responsibility and pride. At first, it does not feel transactional at all. You feel useful, needed, even respected. You are providing, solving, stepping up. And because providing is part of healthy masculinity, you do not question the structure forming beneath the surface. Over time, the pattern becomes clearer. Conversations start to sound like quiet invoices. Warmth appears when spending appears. Appreciation increases when convenience increases. When you hesitate or slow down, the energy shifts. She becomes distant, cold, or subtly irritated. Nothing is said directly, but the message is understood. Your value is conditional. Affection must be earned repeatedly, and the price keeps rising. This dynamic is often reinforced through ego manipulation. Phrases like "a real man would know what to do," or "if you wanted to, you would," are not compliments. They are pressure disguised as standards, references to other men, previous lifestyles, or what she is used to are not information. They are leverage. And because many men fear appearing weak or inadequate, they respond by giving more rather than questioning the premise itself. The trap is that you begin to confuse expensive with high value. You tell yourself that her demands mean she is special, that the effort required proves the relationship is meaningful. But high value is not inconsistent. It does not disappear when money is not present. A woman who genuinely respects you can enjoy nice things without reducing love to a transaction. She appreciates effort without punishing restraint. She does not make your peace dependent on your spending. Men fail here because the transaction is never made explicit. There is no contract to review, no moment of consent. One day, you simply realize that you are paying to be treated well. And by then, walking away feels like admitting failure rather than reclaiming dignity. So you keep investing, hoping the balance will shift, unaware that the structure was never designed to become equal. This kind of relationship drains more than finances. It trains a man to associate love with pressure and respect with performance. And once that mindset takes hold, it becomes easier to accept the next dangerous pattern, where affection exists privately but commitment disappears in public. In the next part, we will explore the woman who is taken behind closed doors but single to the world, and why secrecy is not the same as privacy. No matter how convincing the excuses sound, the woman who is single in public but taken in private creates one of the most confusing emotional traps a man can experience: behind closed doors. She is affectionate, attentive, and reassuring. She texts throughout the day, calls you her man, shares intimacy, and makes you feel chosen. In private, the relationship feels real. You invest time, energy, and emotional presence, believing you are building something mutual. But the moment the world is watching, you disappear. She avoids being seen with you. Introductions are delayed or never happen. Social media shows a full life with no trace of you. When the topic comes up, the excuses are smooth and familiar. She says she is private. She claims she does not like people in her business. She questions why validation needs to be public at all. On the surface, these explanations sound mature, but there is a crucial difference between privacy and secrecy. Privacy protects the relationship. Secrecy protects options. You begin to feel it in your body before you admit it in your mind. A subtle sense of not being enough. A quiet competition with people you cannot see. You find yourself doing more, giving more, hoping that one day she will feel comfortable enough to stand beside you openly. You tell yourself you are being understanding, not controlling. That real confidence does not need recognition. But deep down, the discomfort grows because something fundamental is missing acknowledgement. The problem is not your worth, it is her intention. A woman who is proud to receive your time, effort, and resources but uncomfortable being seen with you is not unsure of you. She is unsure of what she wants to give up. You become the man she benefits from, while preserving an image of availability to the outside world. And because nothing is said explicitly, you are left to interpret silence as patience instead of what it really is, avoidance. Men fail in this dynamic because they fear appearing insecure. They swallow their instincts and call it emotional maturity. They accept half-presence and convince themselves that love does not need visibility. Only later do they realize that they were hidden not for protection, but for convenience. The realization does not just hurt, it damages self-respect. This pattern prepares the ground for an even more controlling dynamic, where affection itself becomes a tool. Once a man accepts being unseen, he is more likely to accept being punished emotionally for speaking up. In the next part, we will examine the woman who weaponizes sex, affection, or silence to train a man into choosing peace over truth, and how this conditioning quietly shrinks him over time. At the beginning, she feels warm, affectionate, and emotionally available. Physical closeness is natural. Communication flows easily, and you feel safe expressing yourself. This is why the shift, when it comes, is so destabilizing. Slowly, warmth becomes conditional. Affection appears only when you behave in ways she approves of. When you disagree, set a boundary, or express discomfort. The temperature drops, silence replaces conversation, distance replaces connection, and the absence feels like punishment. You find yourself replaying conversations, analyzing your tone, questioning whether you asked for too much. You wonder what version of yourself brought out the good side of her and how to return to it. This is not accidental. It is conditioning. Over time, your nervous system begins to associate honesty with loss and compliance with peace. You stop speaking up, not because the issue disappeared, but because the emotional cost feels too high. As this pattern repeats, something subtle but serious happens. You choose quiet over self-respect. You prioritize harmony over truth. You shrink, and as you become smaller, more careful, more reactive, she begins to justify treating you with less care. Your insecurity, which she helped create, becomes the reason she claims you are the problem. This is how emotional control sustains itself without ever being named. A mature relationship does not operate through punishment. A mature woman communicates discomfort directly. She does not use intimacy as a remote control to manage your behavior. Disagreement does not result in withdrawal. Boundaries are not met with coldness. When affection is weaponized, it stops being love and becomes leverage. Men often fail here because silence triggers deep instincts. Pride is wounded. Anxiety rises. The need to restore connection takes over. So they chase, explain, overtext, negotiate, and apologize, even when they did nothing wrong. Each attempt reinforces the pattern. The more you chase peace, the more powerful the weapon becomes. This dynamic does not just damage relationships, it reshapes a man's identity. He becomes cautious, resentful, and emotionally reactive. And once a man is trained to tolerate this, it becomes easier for another pattern to take hold, one where his role as a provider expands beyond reason. In the next part, we will explore the woman who keeps multiple providers while calling them friends, and why accepting this arrangement slowly erodes respect and replaces security with replaceability. The woman who keeps multiple providers rarely presents herself as dishonest. On the surface, she appears independent, social, and well-supported. She says she is single, yet her life is quietly funded as if she were in several relationships at once. One man helps with transportation, another covers bills, another pays for hair, nails, or groceries. Someone else is there for emergencies. Each role is minimized and explained away with the same phrase: they are just friends who help. What makes this dynamic dangerous is not generosity. It is structure. Grown men do not consistently provide relationship-level support without expectations, emotional attachment, or entitlement. Even when nothing is spoken, a silent contract exists, and the deeper issue is not the men around her. It is her comfort receiving commitment-level benefits without offering commitment-level responsibility. She is practiced at extracting resources while maintaining plausible deniability. When you enter her life seriously, you are not replacing the system. You are being added to it. Over time, you often become the main provider, while the others fade into the background, still present, still useful. If you hesitate, if you set limits, if you question the setup, she does not panic. She already has a network. Replaceability is built into the design. Men fail here because they avoid conflict. They do not want to appear insecure or controlling. They tell themselves that trust means acceptance, but what they are accepting is a dynamic where respect is optional. When a woman knows she can be supported from multiple directions, your standards lose weight, your boundaries become negotiable, and your role shifts from partner to resource. Living in this arrangement creates constant, low-grade anxiety. You feel that you must keep performing to stay relevant. You sense that pulling back will not create reflection, but substitution. Over time, this erodes masculine certainty and emotional safety. A man cannot lead, build, or relax in a relationship where his presence is convenient rather than essential. And once a man accepts being one option among many, it becomes easier for the next pattern to trap him. Because when provision alone is not enough, some women learn to sell something far more powerful than needs. In the next part, we will examine the woman who sells dreams of the future to keep you investing in the present, and why words about tomorrow can become the most expensive currency a man ever pays. The woman who keeps multiple providers rarely presents herself as dishonest. On the surface, she appears independent, social, and well-supported. She says she is single. Yet her life is quietly funded as if she were in several relationships at once. One man helps with transportation, another covers bills, another pays for hair, nails, or groceries. Someone else is there for emergencies. Each role is minimized and explained away with the same phrase: they are just friends who help. What makes this dynamic dangerous is not generosity. It is structure. Grown men do not consistently provide relationship-level support without expectations, emotional attachment, or entitlement, even when nothing is spoken. A silent contract exists, and the deeper issue is not the men around her. It is her comfort receiving commitment-level benefits without offering commitment-level responsibility. She is practiced at extracting resources while maintaining plausible deniability. When you enter her life seriously, you are not replacing this system. You are being added to it over time. You often become the main provider, while the others fade into the background, still present, still useful. If you hesitate, if you set limits, if you question the setup, she does not panic. She already has a network. Replaceability is built into the design. Men fail here because they avoid conflict. They do not want to appear insecure or controlling. They tell themselves that trust means acceptance. But what they are accepting is a dynamic where respect is optional. When a woman knows she can be supported from multiple directions, your standards lose weight, your boundaries become negotiable, and your role shifts from partner to resource. Living in this arrangement creates constant, low-grade anxiety. You feel that you must keep performing to stay relevant. You sense that pulling back will not create reflection, but substitution over time. This erodes masculine certainty and emotional safety. A man cannot lead, build, or relax in a relationship where his presence is convenient rather than essential. And once a man accepts being one option among many, it becomes easier for the next pattern to trap him. Because when provision alone is not enough, some women learn to sell something far more powerful than needs. In the next part, we will examine the woman who sells dreams of the future to keep you investing in the present, and why words about tomorrow can become the most expensive currency a man ever pays.